Hey, what's up, guys? This is Toby Vance, Lost History of Eden. Uh, Thanks for coming in here, checking out our channel. I hope you're watching all of our videos. We've got a lot of material up now. Again, if you've not watched our two introductory videos, considerations and fact versus theory, make sure you check those out first. They're very important in understanding what we're trying to accomplish here with this YouTube channel. Okay. So as I stated in the considerations video, we are trying to establish from our two extremes in merging the Bible with science, the extreme of the biblical literalist and the extreme of the biblical critical theorist. We're trying to establish what's true from those two different perspectives and trying to determine from there, from the things that they reject, what is true, and then we can merge it together and find something that actually makes far more sense and gets us closer to the truth. Okay, in this series of videos, this is our second in the series of videos on the evidence for the age of the earth, for the 4.5 billion year age of the earth, showing how the biblical literalists who reject the 4.5 billion year age of the earth and believe that the earth is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old, how that model that they use to do that, flood geology, is not true. Okay, so we're looking at evidence against flood geology. They try and cram the entire geological timescale into 6,000 years, and they do that by claiming that the flood of Noah deposited all of those layers in 1 year. There is so much evidence in the geological record that just blows that idea out of the water. There's no way all of these layers were laid down in 1 year, and there's tons of formations in the geological timescale, structures, characteristics that could not have been done in a year, couldn't be formed in a year. I mean, they're structures that take millions of years to form. And so we're looking at those things to show that there's no possible way that flood geology is the right interpretation of the geological record. And so this is our second video in that series. What we're looking at in this one is a structure we see in the geological timescale called a batholith. Okay, it is a magmatic structure. It comes from the magma of the earth that forms it. Okay, and it just takes an extreme amount of time to form. There is absolutely no way, if the earth is only 10,000 years old, that we would see these structures, because they could not form in that amount of time. So we're going to see that. We're going to look at that today. So let's go ahead and jump right into that and look at batholiths and see how they prove, really once and for all, that the earth is millions and even billions of years old, and that the flood geology model is just pure bunk. Okay, so we're talking about problems with flood geology. That's the geological system that creation scientists have created to attempt to try and explain why the Earth is only 6,000 years old. We're going to show lots of evidence that that's not the case. Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and there are multiple things within the geological timescale that show that. One of those things are what we call batholiths. Okay, a batholith is a huge area where a mass of magma from within the Earth's surface has begun to intrude up into the upper layers of the crust of the Earth. As you can see here by our diagram, the area that is black here is the batholith. It would come from lower down in the earth, and it essentially bubbles up into these layers, and it is extremely hot. It is molten lava. So it's basically melting all of these rock layers that it is coming up through. So the reason that this is an evidence that flood geology didn't happen is essentially the timing of these things and the size of them. On this map here, we see that there are several batholiths that are shown in red. You have the Coastal Range batholith here, you have the Idaho batholith here, you have the Sierra Nevada batholith, and then you have the Baja California batholith. And these are just a few of the larger batholiths in the western United States. The Sierra Nevada batholith alone, just taking it as an example, the one here, you can see it stretches over almost 3/4 of the length of the state of California. Um, and it's exposed on the surface. It has been, the surface area has been eroded down so that you can actually see the top of the batholith along this area. And it's an area of hundreds of square miles. This is an issue for flood geology, is the amount of time it takes for a mass of magma this large to protrude up into these layers, and then ultimately to get up into these layers and then to cool off until this entire thing is solid, takes an entirely long time. Geophysicists from Princeton University have calculated that the cooling rate of a ball of magma with a radius of just 8 miles, okay, not the hundreds of miles that we saw with the Sierra Nevada batholith, but just 8 miles alone would take about 1 million years to completely solidify and cool down. Not only that, add to that the fact that once it cools down, then you have to have a long period of time of erosion where the surface layers erode down enough to expose the batholith to the surface. As we saw in the map of California, we have hundreds of square miles of the Sierra Nevada batholith exposed on the surface. So the amount of time it would have taken for that area to erode away would be multiple of millions of years. Okay, so we already have millions of years that it takes for this entire huge mass of magma to cool down to the point where it's solid. Then it takes another millions of years, several millions of years, to erode down to where this batholith begins to show on the surface. Okay, so add those two things together, and there is absolutely no way this can occur quickly. Then, with absolutely no studies, no calculations, no evidence, young Earth creationists, creation scientists attempt to claim that this whole process of magma intruding up into the geological layers, the magma then cooling down, and then all of the surface layers eroding away, that all of this somehow miraculously just occurred during the 1 year of Noah's flood. That is absolutely impossible. It could not have occurred. Even the 6,000 years that creation scientists give for the age of the earth is not even long enough for this process to take place. This process requires millions of years in each stage of it occurring. So there is no way that we can account for such a massive structure as a batholith in the Earth's surface being created within 1 year. Okay, so you see that. You see batholiths firmly establish the old age of the Earth. Millions of years it takes for these things to form. Magma does not cool quickly, just doesn't. Okay, we know that. It takes a long time to cool down. And there's absolutely no way that a batholith like the one in California the Sierra Nevada batholith would have formed in a year, or even 6,000 years or 10,000 years. It's just not possible. So we pretty much, I think, established very well with this piece of evidence that the Earth is old. We still got one more to look at in our third part in this series. So make sure you check that out if you're still not completely convinced. And make sure you're checking out our other videos too. Check out our series on evolution and the factual nature of evolution. And make sure, if you haven't seen it already, our series or our video that we have up on the existence of God. If you haven't seen those, or you haven't seen any of our introductory videos, go check them out. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you're checking back often, because we have a lot of material on the way. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching us and subscribing to our channel and supporting us. So keep coming back, because there's a lot more to look for. We'll see y'all later.